Are you eating?
No.
No.
Just wrestling.
Sounds like you got a bag of crisps.
I'm equally as embarrassed as if I would have been.
No, I was going to call you out on the show. Crisp eater! Crisp eater!
Yo, 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 what's going on, guys? You're listening to the Northern Lifting Podcast with myself, Rhys Morgan, and
myself, Chris Thatcher.
Super duper. We're all good. We're talking about bodyweight training. And that's it, because we don't like what Chris does.
No, we do like what Chris does, but
we do like what Chris does.
We like things to be done properly.
Bodyweight training, gymnastics, calisthenics. We do talk about weight stuff because sometimes that's fun too. But today we're talking about endurance training, stamina, and my personal hate in the world, my nemesis, HIIT training, which I love it, but like I hate it as well. I hate it more than I like it.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know you disliked it that much.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, it's fun, because that just means that when we get together to do some fun experimental stuff, I'm obviously going to drag you into the gym at some point, but
yeah,
we'll definitely do some HIIT work as well.
Oh yeah. I like punishing myself with it. Don't get me wrong, but
some sort of torture.
Yeah, it is. It's like sadomasochism.
Yeah, I love it. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, yeah. So a lot of the times when we do training, we don't really think about doing endurance training as much. A lot of the times, certainly when I started training, I wanted to get down the gym and get a bit of muscle, like work on my strength a little bit. So although we kind of do a little row at the beginning or like a little warm-up jog or whatever, that's about it, because really you're like, oh yeah, let's get on the weights, let's do some reps, rah. Endurance is so important. Your fitness level as like a whole kind of standard, not strength. Fitness is really important as well, and it's often neglected. I have found, I don't know about you, Chris, but when people want to start training, they're not thinking about doing a lot of endurance or stamina work. They're talking about lifting weights or doing reps and sets and getting stronger.
Yeah, I think we're in a period of time now, we've very much come through a period of time where cardio got a bit of a bad rap, sort of traditional forms of cardiovascular work, particularly running. And it got a bad rap, rightfully so, because it got pushed to the forefront so aggressively as a cultural phenomenon that, running was the best thing you could possibly do. And, it's so natural and it's fantastic and it's a great way to lose weight. And, people would be going out and hitting the pavements because it's something that most people felt safe to do as well. For a lot of people, walking into a gym, walking into a gymnastics club, going somewhere, even to a yoga class, can be an intimidating thing for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
So running was an easy thing because all you had to do was put some trainers on and go out for a jog, and no one was judging you because you were kind of out doing it on your own and no one was really watching you, and you didn't feel overly, I guess you didn't feel like you were really exactly, you just didn't feel self-conscious. Yeah, and it was kind of safe in that respect. And look, I will always advocate movement rather than no movement. So if the only thing you can do is running or, God forbid, a Zumba class, then I'd rather you do that than nothing at all. But, not all movement is equal. Not all exercise or training is equal. There are some things that are better for you than others, and it's just, or better ways of certainly performing those movements than others. And running was a perfect example of that. And, we're not just going to talk about running today, but it is something I wanted to bring up because it's something that I myself went through a very critical period of. I ran the London Marathon in 2011.
Really?
It caused a lot of... Yeah, did I never tell you that?
No. Most people, when they do a marathon, tell you about it.
Yes, yeah, true. No, I tend to keep it quiet.
You're so humble, Chris.
Well, no, I was just embarrassed. It's like, oh God, I ran. Oh my God. But no,
I'm so embarrassed I did a marathon.
I tell you, I'm one of the worst people in the world for celebrating my own success. And it's not to say I don't, pat myself on the back when I do something, but I tend to, once I've done something, I tend to have this habit of seeing it as normal.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do tend to be like that. Like what is extraordinary to someone else is completely ordinary to you. They'll be like, oh my God, you can do that. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course I can. you know, that's what I do, you know, and they're like, oh my God, but it's amazing. And it's like, well, it's not to me, but yeah, I forget. And it's always good to remember what it's like to be the person looking ahead, you know, look at the people that you idolize and the stuff that you look at now that you think, my God, that's so impressive.
Yeah, I think calisthenics is a great example of that as well, because like you look at individual power moves or anything like back lever, for example. A back lever is is probably the first one that you'll get if you're going for like those skills and those gymnastic strength moves. And once you could do a back lever, you're like, meh.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
you spend months, if not years, to do it.
You put so much work in, and as soon as you get it done, you're like, yeah, oh yeah, I can do a back lever now. Like,
yeah,
not even that bothered about it.
It's the same in martial arts. Like, you know, you spend all this time building up to your grading. You know, you're perfecting your forms and your fighting technique, and you're kind of learning your philosophical stuff and the questions you might get asked at the grading, and then you get up there and you do it, and you kind of get that little momentary, yes, I've done it. And honestly, the way I'm wired, as soon as I've done that grading, I start thinking ahead, like, right, what's next? You know, and it's so important to remind yourself to just enjoy the little success of what you've achieved. Enjoy the momentary thing of something that now, you know, seems quite normal to you because you've gone past it and you've achieved it. But, you know, to you 5 minutes ago, 5 months ago, 5 years ago, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And yeah, the marathon's a perfect example of that, because I use it as a reference point now, but it doesn't come up that much in conversation because I'm not a big runner. It's not, I guess maybe if I did them quite frequently, I'd probably talk about it a lot more. But
yeah.
For me, running and races and stuff like that, it's not a big part of my training. I occasionally do endurance events just to test, and I would like to start doing more of them because I am starting to realise just the importance, as I'm getting older as well, just how much more endurance work I probably need to do to be able to kind of fire up the engine, so to speak, to be able to perform more optimally on the other things. As I'm also, I guess this kind of leads into where we're going, is that, you know, as I'm trying to push my body more in terms of my strength capacity, I need to push it more on the endurance and the stamina capacity to keep up with that. Because, you know, that's just going to be the weakest part of it.
It's that balance again, it's bringing balance back into the equation.
There's that word again.
Yeah. Well,
but just going back very quickly just to the running thing and the cardio thing in general, because, you know, the strength conditioning world is probably as responsible for this as anyone, in that it was like cardio is bad because, you know, running hurts your knees, and cycling makes you, spinning makes you sit in a bad postural position, and nobody rows correctly, and, you know, we want to try and avoid impact at all costs. And yeah, you know, for some people it's certainly prudent to be smart about how much impact you put through your joints, you know, particularly when you're deconditioned. You know, if you're carrying, 3-4 extra stone or even a few extra pounds over what your body was comfortably able to sustain, and it's negative weight, it's adipose tissue, it's fat, rather than, you know, lean, powerful, muscular weight that's going to complement whatever it is you're doing, then of course jumping up and down on and off a box, or smashing your knees into the floor by doing, you know, thousands of repetitions on a run, because let's face it, that's what running is. It's volume work, it's excessive amounts of repetitions. You never do that many press ups in one go as you do in terms of the impact you put through your body and through your knees and your lower back and your hips and everything when you run. But that's not to say you shouldn't do it. You just need to learn how to do it well, and also build up to it progressively, get your body into a physical condition where it's able to run better, it's carrying less negative weight. And cardio in general is, you know, has to be looked at with that kind of, you know, that frame of reference. You know, make sure you're, like anything with your strength work, focusing in on your technique. You know, when you're rowing, keep your back straight, for Christ's sake. You know, stop leaning forward into this horrible kyphotic rounded posture. When you're on a bike, you know, unless you're performing at an elite level, you know, you're some sort of triathlete, or, you know, cycling is a road racing element of what you're doing. Then if you're just a guy in a spin class, or someone on a bike at the gym, or just going out for a cycle at the weekend, you know, try and think about what position your back's in. You know, try and give it an easier time than like kind of rolling forward and getting really lazy with your posture. You see it as an opportunity to correct your posture and teach your body to hold a stronger position while you do it. So yes, cardio's had a bad rap. I think now people are starting to understand that, yeah, you can get a great cardiovascular response from resistance training and doing a lot of volume with body weight drills like pull-ups, and, you know, you can create a lovely little endurance or stamina based circuit out of just pull-ups, press-ups and body weight squats.
Yeah.
You know, because you're doing some fantastic work in terms of cardiac shunting, so you're pushing all the blood to your arms or to the front of your body, then all to the back of the body for the pull-ups, and then all the way down into the legs for the squats, you know. So that's really working the heart and lungs. So that metabolic conditioning, that kind of form of HIIT training, can be really, really useful. But it's not to say you should dismiss everything else out of hand. You know, everything's relevant, everything's applicable if you're in the right sort of condition to do it to start with. And I'm not saying you have to be fit to go running, but you certainly have to, you know, consider whether or not it's the best thing to start with, or maybe you should actually lose a little bit of weight, learn a little bit more about how to run correctly before you go and do it, and then go and do it. You know, and I use running as an example of that. I think that applies to everything. So yeah, I'll let you talk for a little bit, Rhys.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. No, you're right. That as an endurance exercise is really great. It's really important not to forget to do the fitness element of your physical development, your endurance, your stamina. That's so important. And one good thing is with compound exercises, you're working your body so much, and you're exerting so much energy and force that you could almost compare it to doing endurance training and strength training kind of combined, as opposed to doing isolated exercises. The compound exercises, you're working a lot harder, your body is working a lot harder. That's not to say that pull-ups and dips are sufficient fitness training. It's not. And what I teach a lot of people to do is because I hate doing fitness, I hate the idea of going for long runs. Like I want to get the maximum bang for my buck, the most effective and quickest way to improve my fitness, so that I can focus on my skills and my strength training, because that is more important to my discipline than my fitness. But you have to understand that that's super important too. So what I do is called HIIT training. What a lot of people do, and what has become quite a buzzword in fitness over the last kind of 8 years or so, I guess, is this HIIT training, which is high intensity interval training. Whether it's a Tabata or something like that. There are loads of little different variations that have popped up over the years for everyone's going, oh yeah, my HIIT training thing's better, my HIIT training thing's better. The basic idea is working at 100%, like 100%, not this 50% jog or 60 or 80% sprint. I'm talking 100% maximum capacity for a very brief period of time, and then stopping for a brief period of time, and doing that as a cycle to then shock your body into a lot of exercise, quick recovery period, shock your body again, quick recovery period, shock your body again. Yeah, and it's horrible, it is torture, it is the worst thing you will do, but it's so beneficial. It's so good for you. It'll strip fat off your body. You'll get in amazing shape in very, very short periods of time by doing HIIT training. And yeah, so that is what I like to do. I like to mix that with compound training and compound exercises, but it's mostly this HIIT training I do for fitness and for endurance or stamina.
Yeah, exactly. It's highly valuable, not just in terms of the output, but also, as you said there, the recovery capacity as well. Because to give you guys a sort of a more detailed explanation, when we talk about HIIT, when we talk about intervals, you know, think of everything in terms of minute-long sessions, you know, or minute-long sets. So break that minute down to anything to be, say, a 30, you know, the most obvious one is a 30 by 30 split. So you work for 30 seconds, you recover for 30 seconds. Recovery tends to mean, you know, stopping completely, you know, just standing still, sitting down. If you're on a machine like a row or a bike, you can kind of keep moving very lightly, but generally you're pretty much at a stationary position just to completely stop your body, to completely recover, and then obviously go hard again to let, you know, your heart and lungs kind of just get back down to a, not a resting state, but a, you know, a state by which they can then be pushed hard again. So 30 by 30 is probably the most obvious one. Then you could have a 40-20 split, so you work for 40 seconds, just recover for 20. So that's obviously pushing it that little bit harder, because you're going to be increasing the work block but then reducing the recovery block. So you might not find you can push at 100% for that, but you're going to push as hard as you can for it, and obviously minimize the recovery time. And then the other obvious one would be 20-40, so working flat out. Because it's 20 seconds, you can go absolutely hard as nails as you like, plus, you know, you're going to get 40 seconds break, you know, so you're going to get double the amount of time you're actually working for to recover. And what all of this essentially does, as Rhys said, is allows you to work at, you know, very close to your maximum, if not at your maximum capacity for cardiac and respiratory output. So, you know, really pushing the heart and lungs, as well as your tissues, as well as your muscles, depending on what part of the body you're utilizing to make, you know, to do that work, whether it be kettlebell swings, whether it be burpees, whether it be on the rower, doing some sprints, whether it's just jumping jacks, whatever it might be. You know, there are always some things that are better than others, but, you know, we're not going to split hairs about that here now. It's just about the actual work. And then, you know, the real return you get is just that capacity to have to recover quickly. You know, so between sets of your more complex lifts, whatever you're doing, when you're actually training with your strength work, you know, your recovery is going to be pretty well optimized in that. So you're not going to have to take really long rests between sets. It means as you get fitter, you're going to be able to get more into those sessions, or more quality of work in, because you're fatiguing less immediately when you're actually performing those exercises. So that form of stamina-based or endurance-based training is key, because it helps build explosive power, you know, especially if you're doing sprints or sprints up a hill, or, you know, powerful bike work, or even, you know, as I said, kettlebell swings. They can be great as well for developing power through the whole body. So that has a, you know, complementary element as well, because, you know, explosive power is, you know, immediately heightened because of the nature of doing interval-based work like that. But again, you get the endurance aspect as well. You know, you get the ability to recover, you get the longevity that goes with it. You know, it's like tuning the engine on a high performance car. You know, it's kind of really just giving it, you know, if you poodle along at 20 miles an hour all the time and just did like little 5-minute runs back into the shop, you know, you're not really going to maximize the capacity of the car, and it actually becomes more harmful in time. So I think of your body the same way. You know, really test those heart and lungs, push them to, you know, a maximal but, you know, equally comfortable capacity, and really kind of try and help build on that progressively over time by working that little bit faster, that little bit longer, you know, increasing sets. You know, HIIT's great for that, because much like strength work, you can just add in more sets. So you could start by doing 3 sets of 30 by 30 as your first foray into HIIT training, and leave it there. The next time you could add a 4th set, next time you could have a 5th set. Then you can start playing around with the intervals themselves, so, you know, extending work periods, reducing rest, or equally intensifying work periods because you know you've got a longer rest period, or even go with even, you know, shorter work and rest periods, 20-20, if you really want to, you know, break the entire time down completely on both sides and just work really, really intense, but then shorten your recovery. The great thing is you can have fun with it. You know, you can be flexible. It's not just doing the same lap of the park every single day on a run or a bike ride or even a walk. You know, that being said, there is a place for steady state work, but I'll go on to that in a minute, unless you've got anything else you want to talk about on the HIIT side first.
Yeah. There's I've got quite a lot to say about HIIT training. No, I'm joking. It's not a lot, but one thing I do want to say is when I do my HIIT training, I don't do anything complicated in terms of stressful exercise. Yeah, so I don't do like any kettlebell work, or I won't do like push-ups or anything like that. Even I'll limit it to sprints, cycling, or rowing, and that's it, because it's not heavy loaded exercise. Well, I guess the rowing kind of is, but also then when I come to stop, or my rest period, I also don't stop. Whenever I do HIIT training, I find that I run the risk of cramping. My joints start seizing up, because you're working so hard. You are literally putting your body into shock. So when I ever have my rest period, I'll never stop completely. I will always keep it in. If I was on a bike, for example, I'd turn it right down to like 3 as a resistance level. So I barely feel it, but I just keep moving my legs really slowly for my 30 seconds rest, just to keep that motion going, because when you stop, it gets so much harder. And then I really, honestly, I tell you never to stop doing your HIIT sets when you're in your rest period, because what I've found with coaching people is that really fucks them up. It really does. I've been so good, I didn't swear at all in the last episode. This one has happened. I'm sorry. But
it's all right. We've got the parental advisory sticker, or, you know, explicit lyric sticker on the show anyway.
Yeah,
so
I feel like we need to earn it every episode. You know what I mean? I might just start saying something really vulgar, or maybe just drop it in at the end, like not be part of the episode, but right at the end, I'll just go, fuck, like, boom, explicit. Yeah. So that's one thing with HIIT training, I'd say, and except for when you finish your 4-minute section and you do have your your extended rest period, where you have like a 2-minute break at the end of the 4-minute set. That's when you can stop, but even then your body won't want to. Like, you'll just keep moving slowly, work on your mobility, have a stretch or something, so that you don't, because you literally build up this thing In fact, yeah, just make sure you keep moving. Now's the next point. Okay, so the biggest benefit of doing HIIT training, yeah, it's a 15-minute workout, and you literally won't be able to walk afterwards because you're working at 100%. You shouldn't be able to do difficult exercises as HIIT exercises because it should be too much effort for you to put in. You shouldn't be able to do light HIIT training sessions and heavy HIIT training sessions. They are all the same. It's 100% on. We call it 10% off because, like I say, it's really important to keep moving so that you don't seize yourself up and you don't get cramped or anything. But after that 15 minutes, for the next 6 to 8 hours, your body will continuously burn calories. Yeah, you'll be stripping your body of fat because your body builds up a debt, an actual debt of oxygen. Yeah, it's called EPOC, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. And you've expended so much energy that your body is like, needs it. You owe yourself energy, so your body will break down fat off your body. You'll sweat it out, and you'll literally, it's the fastest, most efficient way that I found to get in shape quickly, HIIT training, and it has massive benefits for your endurance and your stamina overall, even though you're only working for these very short periods because you're training at your maximum capacity. The only way to improve your heart strength, your cardiovascular strength, is by working it at 90% plus. So if you want a stronger heart, if you want a harder pump of blood around your body, if you want to be able to pump more blood in each go around your body, you need to be training it at 90% of your maximum heart rate, it is heart attack zone, that's what it is, but what you're doing is you're increasing your longevity by working in that danger zone.
Yeah, good point. And, just full sort of disclaimer out there as well, just make sure if you have any doubts about your health, your heart condition, lung condition, anything like that, then first and foremost, get some sort of assessment done. Go and see your doctor, go and see a health professional of any degree, to try and get someone to run the rule over you, check your own blood pressure, make sure there are no prior contraindications as to why you shouldn't be working as intensely as this. Because again, it's like anything, it can be progressive. You don't have to go, right, I'm going to go flat out on my first go. Ease yourself in, build up to it if you're not used to doing this form of training. Make sure you feel comfortable with it over time, but obviously, very quickly, if you are working at it consistently, then you'll progress, you'll get more capable. It doesn't always have to be flat out, but over time, as Rhys said, you'll want to do more, you'll want to work harder, you'll want to push yourself. So that's the great thing about it, is it's like with strength work, you just progressively make it harder as time goes on, as you get fitter and as your capacity for intensity heightens. As Rhys said, the great thing about it is, much like with strength work, the afterburn. We know that a steady state session of jogging or bike work, or even on the rower, or doing very light aerobics kind of class, it can burn a lot of calories, but the afterburn effect, the oxygen consumption, the energy consumption, whether it comes from stored fat, adipose tissue, whether it comes from your food, or whether it comes from oxygen, those conversions, that thermic effect that's going on in your body afterwards just continues for the next 2 or 3 days. It really kind of continues to burn off energy as time progresses. So it's a really, from a physique point of view, from a body composition point of view, it's highly valuable, but it is equally valuable to your training. But it's not to say that endurance from steady state stuff doesn't play a part, but you don't necessarily prioritize it. It's not going to be a bad thing to go for a run, or even one of the things that most people swear by now more than anything else is just going for a long walk. 2 or 3 times a week. If you can do it every day, great, because you're really putting in the hours in the gym, you're doing the work on the HIIT work, you're doing the work on the strength work, whatever it may be. Doing some low level endurance, low skill level in particular, because walking, we can all do that. I'm sure people have got injured walking before, but it's quite hard to do.
I fell down some stairs once, but more often than not I fall upstairs. I don't lift my leg high enough because I'm not paying attention. I just clip the top and go.
But that's you, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm the exception to the rule. I'm just clumsy.
Yeah, which we all have our moments, but some more than others, I guess. But doing that long walk, because that's where we talk about looking in a primal state, looking at kind of natural states, paleo state, whatever you want to call it. at how our bodies were built, how our bodies evolved, you know, they did evolve for some degree of endurance. You know, if people were out hunting, gathering, you know, they would walk for a long period of time, but they very rarely run for that extended period of time. You know, okay, yes, a marathon comes from, you know, the tradition of, you know, well, not a tradition, but, you know, the Greek, or whether it's a myth or whether it's a true story, I think there's always debate over it, but, you know, obviously the guy running at the Battle of Marathon, running 26.2 miles or 26 miles really to kind of deliver a message, and then, you know, equally running back and very soon dying afterwards. But, you know, the body can run for extended periods of time, you know, multiple miles. You know, people can do marathons, they can do ultra marathons, they can do Ironman triathlons. You know, there is that human capacity to do those things, but just because you can doesn't necessarily mean you should, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to either, you know. So be smart about the training. You know, we've all got time restrictions, you know, unless you're a pro elite athlete in any of those competitions, you know, chances are your training is more kind of for fun, it's more for enjoyment, it's more for kind of health reasons. It may be for some degree of competition if it's in gymnastics or even Olympic lifting, but, you know, you're
or
focusing
martial
on
art or
martial
dance
arts
or anything, you know.
You're focusing on your discipline, but a lot of the time it may just be for, you know, just your general movement practice, to be doing something. So you haven't got to go to the extreme when, you know, more often than not, the extreme of that particular style of cardio, you know, the endurance, the longer term, the steady state stuff tends to be more the reserve of people who are competing in those particular disciplines. So you don't have to get too wrapped up in that. But, you know, long runs, very, you know, steady state jogging, it can all complement back into your body's ability to convert oxygen, to convert stored fat, stored tissue into energy, to expulse. It can also, you know, aid recovery capacity as well. So all these things can feed back in. You know, it's just kind of picking the smartest, most efficient way of doing it, and the lowest risk one as well. So as Rhys said, you know, very rightly, when you're doing stuff that is going to exceptionally fatigue you, and this is obviously where it can go wrong with, you know, longer steady state sessions, particularly with running again, because as you get more tired, your coordination, your skill level, skill capacity reduces.
Yeah, and one thing you don't want to be doing is falling instead of running when you're running. That's why how a lot of people hurt themselves running, is that they're not focusing on the correct movement like you were highlighting earlier, but they're instead like falling 1 foot ahead of the other rather than running 1 foot ahead of the other. Do you know what I mean? So they're heavy-footed, landing, shaking up their joints and their bones and rattling it all about in their bodies.
Exactly, it all goes to hell. You know, as we say, form and fatigue do not make good bedfellows. You know, it's not to say you can't perform when you're tired. You know, people can, you can muddle through, you know, but going back to my marathon experience, you know, if you looked at me running at the end of that, when I was, you know, I'd done 26 odd miles, you know, my running style had gone to hell by that point. And it was the back end of that I got a bit of a hip injury off of it, and a couple of other little niggles as well. But, you know, for the first 15 miles or so, that they were all okay. I was cruising, you know, I was feeling really, really good. But then obviously as I started to tire, my form started to fall apart. You know, I got a bit lazy. I started to kind of drag my legs. I wasn't really performing as optimally as I could. And that's when things started to go wrong. So just be conscious of that. The more tired something's going to make you, the less skill you want around that. So that's where obviously low skill level movement patterns become really, really valuable when you're doing something like HIIT work, because obviously you're just at much less risk of injury.
Yeah. And the movement that you are doing, you want to put your all into as well. And one other advantage of HIIT training is that it never gets easy. You know, you never get good at HIIT training. You just push up your 100% mark increases. So when you first start doing it, your version of 100% is going to be terrible compared to the guy who's been doing HIIT training consistently for 6 months. But when he does his HIIT training, he'll still get the exact same benefits, the exact same, it'll be the exact same time scale, you know, you'll be doing the exact same work, but his version of 100%, because his physical capacity will have increased, his 100% will be at a higher threshold, so he'll work harder in that moment in his HIIT training. And that's one of the other beauties of HIIT training, is that it's not like weightlifting or anything or your Olympic lifting that you've been trying out recently, Chris, where you're actually teaching yourself the movement that this is very basic movements that we've got dialed in, that we can then apply to our workload rather than the control of the movement itself, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's just like every good form of training is very subjective, you know, so you're going to be able to push yourself as hard as you possibly can, and it's going to make you feel as tired. Same way with, you know, good, you know, very basic sort of strength work as well. You know, me doing, you know, 20, 30 pull-ups in one go is going to be the maximum end for me, whereas someone doing 5 is, you know, we're both getting the same benefit, relatively speaking, subjectively. You know, we're still getting the benefit that we've both pushed ourselves as hard as we possibly can. It's just my capacity is greater than the next person, and their capacity maybe more so than the person who can only do 1. But, you know, obviously the other benefits go hand in hand with that, you know, the other things do start to become a factor in time. But yeah, exactly, you can, well, like we said before, you can just push yourself as hard as you can possibly go, and it's all then about your particular gain. It's not about keeping up with anyone else, competing with anyone else. It's just about becoming the best you possibly can, the best version of yourself, and constantly trying to build on that as you go, which ultimately is what this is all about, isn't it, right? You know, it's about testing your own parameters. It's not looking at the next guy and going, damn, he can move a bit faster than me. It's like, if you're moving as fast as you can, or doing as many reps as you can, or lifting the maximum amount of load you can, or holding your isometric position for as long as you can, then, you know, that's all it comes down to. That's all that really matters. Cool. All right, well, I don't know, I think that was quite a lot for stamina and endurance stuff. I don't know if you want to add anything into the mix, mate.
You know, I think we've about covered it, to be honest with you. It's a very you could ramble on about it all, but we've said it all before. Focus on the movements. For me, like endurance and stamina is really only used in that gymnastics application or general, you know, daily life. I don't do bleep tests or anything. I don't go for long runs. I do go for long walks every day though, and I walk almost everywhere. I'm a right hippie like that, but I don't focus on. Yeah. I just don't focus on. Marathons aren't of interest to me because of previous injuries. That I mean, I can't spend a lot of time running. I can't do a lot of work like that. You know, I don't see a benefit for me personally. So I do HIIT training, and I encourage people to do HIIT training because it's very, very short periods of time, very, very good bang for your buck. Kind of the benefits are massive. And it's the thing that you can just anyone can just slot into their life. If you're going to go down the gym, there's no reason why one day you can't do a 15-minute workout, and burn fat for the next 8 hours. You know, there's no reason why you can't sacrifice a couple of reps that day, or like doing your pull-ups and your dips one day to do that HIIT training, that fitness, because it isn't just going to be fitness. You're going to be working your muscles a lot as well, obviously, and it's going to stress them in a different way to reps and sets. So it's really important to do some form of endurance, because one day you might get chased by a wolf. It might happen, you know. It might happen.
We do all live in fear of that moment when, you know, walking through your suburban streets, a wolf pack comes out and attacks you. It could well happen. You know, I've lost some good friends to wolves in the past.
Bank, Hackney, no one's safe.
Exactly. And look, if society collapses and, you know, the zombies take over and, you know, we have some sort of zombie apocalypse, then, you know, the most important thing is that, you know, you haven't got to run faster than the zombies. You've just got to be able to run longer and faster than the next guy.
Yeah. So, guys, there are loads of reasons why you should be working on your fitness.
Zombie apocalypse being right and wolves at the top of that list.
It's funny how, like, that's the thing people go to now as well. Like, it's become since like early 2000s. Zombie apocalypse has become this thing that just everyone knows about. So everyone, like, it's like a generational phenomenon where everyone talks about what happened if zombies took over, and you're like, well, there's no real evidence to suggest that this could even happen. It's like this ultimate fear. Like, we're not scared of nuclear war, We're not scared of aliens invading. We're not scared of things coming out of hell or like demons suddenly attacking us. We're scared of us all dying because of some virus that we've created, and it turns us all into running dead people that eat each other.
Yeah.
It's such a focused thing. Do you know what I mean? It's so focused. It's not just the end of the world. It's not just Armageddon. It's zombie apocalypse. You know?
Yeah, there is something in it, isn't it? It's become a much more sort of popularised thing now. I mean, my sister's even like so scared that it could actually happen. Like whenever I moved into my last flat, and she was really happy it was on the top floor. She was like, "Oh, you know, if there's an apocalypse, zombie apocalypse, I'm going to come to your place because you're high up."
I'll be able to see everywhere. We can fish for birds.
That's why I moved there, just in case. No, it's funny, isn't it? But you know, maybe it's kind of been coming through in literature and in Hollywood because they're trying to prepare us for something that could well happen. You know.
Yeah, you know, maybe zombies is the extreme. Maybe it's just crazy rioting. You know.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, you've been listening to the More Than Zombies podcast. So,
yeah.
Do you think anyone else is like still listening? Do you think people are just tuned out now? They're like, oh, they were great when they were talking about training.
Like, yeah, we've talked about HIIT, fuck this.
yeah. Don't do HIIT because you might become a zombie meal. Anyway,
because you need to outrun Dave down the pub.
Yeah, as long as you run faster than Dave, you're fine. Yeah. Like we said, it's all about, you know, being the best you, not being better than Dave. But anyway. Right, should we stop there? Cause,
yeah. Let's do the wrap up, and the wrap up.
Sweet, cool, guys. Well, look, if you like what you've heard today, then please do head on over to iTunes to leave a rating and review for the show to help other people find us and for a little bit of good karma for yourself as well. If you've got any questions, comments, feedback, anything you'd like us to talk about on the show, anything you're not sure about that we have discussed and you want to kind of find out more, then reach out to us through social media as Coach Thatch or More Than Lifting. You can find me at coachthatch.com. You can find Rhys at morethanlifting.com. Send us your questions, anything you want discussed, anything you want to get into with us. It's all good. You know, we're happy to help you guys help make this show what it is. So, you know, we'll continue to serve you as best we can. But that's all for me today. Rhys?
Yeah, I haven't really got anything to add. Oh, yeah, actually, you know what would be quite fun? Maybe doing like a HIIT walkthrough video because it would be good to see like just how messed up it makes us.
Yeah, we definitely will do that. Yeah, that's something, guys, that we will be entertaining you with at some point in the future, is some videos of us doing some, well, not stupid stuff, but, you know, tough stuff.
But looking stupid, doing stuff.
Exactly. I was so annoyed. I was doing some snatches on Friday, and I had one of those classic moments where I did one rep for a PB, and I was like, I felt good. I thought, I'm going to go for a second. I feel good. And I did it. And it was one of those where I got under the bar, but I was just back on my heels too much. So I started to fall backwards. So it was one of those classic ones where I had to kind of spring backwards and push and sort of throw the bar the other way. And I filmed the whole thing because I was trying to assess my form. So, you know, I had the whole thing on video, and
that was a good one to look at. You know?
And it would have been a good one to actually share. And so from this point forward, if I have any other disasters, then I will share them. Not disasters, failures, because failure is an intrinsic part of success. You know, you can't succeed unless you're trying to push the boundaries a little bit. Just be as smart as you possibly can when you come to that point. But I look forward to showing you how fallible we can be without training.
I think fitness fails are just so funny anyway, and to do like just to have like a little couple of videos in the future where we have filmed ourselves doing stupid stuff, or just doing stuff stupid. Sorry, not doing stupid stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be fun, isn't it? You know,
it is funny. You got to be able to share that stuff. It's okay to be embarrassed. You know what I mean? It's fun. It's fun to be able to laugh at yourself because, you know, otherwise you're just bullying people.
All right, okay, well, I think we're going off another tangent then.
Yeah, right, guys, sorry. Yeah, subscribe, and we apologise for rambling on at the end of episodes when we're trying to say bye.
Yeah, well, you know, we just like to talk. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. As you said, rate, review, subscribe, you know, connect, whatever you possibly feel the need to do. So, you know, go with your gut. You know, if you've got this urge that I've just got to tell those guys how great they are, or just tell them how shit they are, whatever it may be, go with it. You know, we love the hate as much as we love the love. So, yeah, throw it all our way. Anyway,
Yeah.
for me, today, done.
Yeah, okay. And in the next episode, we're going to be talking about skills training and development. It's going to be really interesting and really good fun. So we'll catch up with you then. Keep in touch with yourselves and bye.
See ya!